Hi, I'm Lauren from Zestful Kitchen, and welcome to Everyday Gourmet, where I share realistic recipes for the avid home cook using fresh ingredients and global flavors. Just check it off. Done. Today we're making my roasted garlic and tomato soup. It's just 8 ingredients and 45 minutes. The great thing about this recipe is that everything happens in the oven, so it's really hands-off. We're going to start by cutting up an onion just into wedges, and then we're also going to use an entire head of garlic. So the soup is garlicky, but it's going to be a sweet caramelized garlic flavor. It's not overpowering at all. So we're going to start with our onion, and you're going to need a yellow or white onion. I would not use a Vidalia onion. They have a ton of moisture in them. I'm just going to take the peel off. So I'm just going to cut it into rough wedges. Really no rhyme or reason. And I'm going to put it on one of my sheet pans. So you can do 2 normal half sheet pans if that's what you have. I'm going to use quarter sheet pans because you don't need a huge one. So it's just less of a pan to clean. I don't recommend putting them all on the same sheet pan with the tomatoes because the tomatoes are going to be moisture heavy. And so you're just not going to get as much roasting. So you want to have more surface area that's dry that encourages browning. The tomatoes are going to release some moisture, so we want to keep them on their own sheet pan. So we're going to take just a head of garlic and we're going to cut it in half. Look at how gorgeous. Okay, take some of the papers off, but try to keep it pretty intact. And you want them to keep their skins on because that's going to protect them from browning too much. I'm going to wait to put those on the baking sheet, but first we're going to put some olive oil on here and some salt. So we need about half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm just going to season the onions, and then I'm going to toss them so they're nicely coated. And then we're going to take the garlic and we're going to shimmy the cut side of the garlic into the olive oil that's already on the sheet pan to keep it from sticking. All right, those look good. So I'm just going to go like this. I'll do the second one. Oh yeah, that was good. Put her back in there. So in the second pan, we're going to do 1.5 pounds of Roma tomatoes. So Roma tomatoes are ideal for this. They're really firm. They're not too waterlogged. And they roast up really beautifully because they aren't waterlogged. If you want to use vine ripe tomatoes, you certainly can. Just know that they won't brown as much, so you won't have as much flavor. Gorge. Okay, we're going to put 2 tablespoons of olive oil on these tomatoes as well, just like the onions. Pretty. And we'll also season these with half a teaspoon of salt-ish. Okay, I'm gonna zhuzh these around so they're evenly coated. I like to flip them up because it allows the moisture to evaporate off while they're baking and encourage the browning. So that's what I recommend. So now we have literally the entire soup prepped, basically. So these are gonna go into the oven 15 minutes and then we're gonna rotate top to bottom. One more reason I like smaller pans is that you can kind of alternate them in the oven like this. So they have a nice air circulation and they brown evenly. Whereas if you have a bigger pan, they overlap. You don't have as much circulation. Ooh, it's hot in there. The rest of the soup is when it's all done roasting, we're gonna blend it up with a few spices. And fresh herbs. So one thing we're going to need is some broth. Homemade broth is ideal, but if you don't have it, I like to use better than bouillon. So if you are somebody that follows a vegetarian diet, obviously use vegetarian broth, vegetable broth. You can also do chicken broth is my preferred, or even a bone broth if you want to add some protein because there's really not a whole lot of protein in this. So if you want to make this more of a full meal, you could use a bone broth, really flavorful. But this is my favorite thing in the world. So we're gonna make a really quick chicken stock using 2 teaspoons of that and 2 cups of water. That will slowly dissolve, so we'll just set that aside. The rest of the components, we need some fresh oregano. You can also do dried. You do not have to do fresh. One good rule of thumb for herbs is if you're using dried, just half the amount that it calls for. So I'm using 1 tablespoon of fresh, or you could do 1.5 teaspoons of dried. Basil would be good. An Italian seasoning blend, if you're doing dried, would also be a great option. You can really kind of play around with it. Anything in the Italian realm would be delicious. Thyme, etc. And then we're going to add some smoked paprika, which will enhance the overall roasty, toasty, smoked flavor, and some red pepper flakes. You can always add more red pepper flakes to taste. If you like things a little spicy, do 1/2 teaspoon. If you don't want it spicy at all, you could do some black pepper. And then that's it. That's all we need. Now we just wait for the tomatoes and the onions to roast. It's been 15 minutes. We're going to rotate the pans. Ooh. Yeah, looking good. Yeah, let's do that. It's hot in there. These guys are nice and brown. Those look good. So I would say any onion that's nicely browned, use that. Any garlic that looks a little burnt, just leave the burnt behind because that's going to be really bitter. So you just want that roasty, smushed, fresh garlic. All right. Yum. That garlic smells good. So we're going to put everything in the blender. I'm going to start with the tomatoes. And you're going to want to get all the juices that are in the pan also in there because those are flavorful, concentrated tomato flavor. Yum. All right, I'm actually... Why wear an apron? I'm going to get this. Because I also want these brown bits as much as you can get them because that's going to be a ton of flavor. There's also salt left on the pan. Get all that salt in there. But you can see like all that moisture that was on that pan, you do not want on the pan with the onions because then you're not going to get this color on the onions. So that's why having 2 separate pans is really key. So I'm going to add these in there. Leave behind that burnt garlic. You don't want it. I do want that oil. All right, then we're going to add all of our roasted garlic. Get that in there. Then we're going to use our spice blend that has fresh oregano, our red pepper flakes, and smoked paprika. Oh, it smells so good already. And this has been sitting. We're just going to give it a quick stir so it's all combined. Doesn't really matter if it's that combined because those chunks of bouillon will get blended up. Okay, moment of truth. All right. I mean, gorgeous. This is a great tomato soup as is. If you want a little creaminess, you can add half and half or whole milk or cream. If you want to be really decadent, to keep it dairy-free, you could do like a soy milk would be the best option, I would say. But you don't have to add any milk if you don't want to. I like it. Alternatively, if you want it to be creamy and still vegetarian, you could do like beans. White beans would be great in there. Blend it all up. The options are endless. This is a great base. But I'm going to do 3/4 cup of half and half. And we can just stir it with this guy. Okay. So since my cream was a little cool, I am going to put this on the stovetop to warm through, but only to warm it through. You don't have to if you like it kind of lukewarm. I don't know. But you don't want it to come to a boil because you just did add milk, cream, dairy, and it will separate if you bring it to a boil. So just make sure it comes to a nice low simmer, just to warm through, and then you're done. Oh, you know what? We can do this. That's what's so cool about these. Look at that. Its own little trivet. I love that. Let's serve it up. So I have some crusty bread. I usually top it with a little bit of fresh oregano so people know what's in it, but I put a lot of oregano in this time, so it doesn't need any more. That is just a reminder to measure. I'm going to dive in with some bread. Yum. Oh my God. The caramelized garlic in there it's so much, it's so flavorful. It's so delicious. It's so savory and so creamy and so comforting. But it's also light enough to be great for using summer tomatoes. But Roma tomatoes are so easy to find year round that it's also great any season. It's so freaking easy to make. So I hope you enjoy this. Let me know if you make it. All the details are in the caption below, and I hope you meet me back here next week for another Everyday Gourmet. I think that was pretty good, but now I'm really hot. Okay, yum. I forgot how good this was.